Welcome back to the hot seat here on Made in Bristol TV, where we're discussing Bristol's European Green Capital status. Earlier in the programme, I spoke to the chairman of Bristol 2015, Andrew Garrad, and now I speak to Audrey Michelle, who's been organising the Tree Song project. That's one of the lucky projects that's been awarded a strategic grant. Audrey, thank you very much for joining me. If we could just start with you telling me a little bit about the funding that you've received and what it's going towards, what your project you're doing is all about.
Okay, we've received a grant for the Bristol European Green Capital 2015 for our Tree Song 2015 project, which is basically a project that will bring musical life to a tree in Bristol.
Audrey, thank you very much for joining me. If we could just start with you telling me a little bit about the funding that you've received and what it's going towards, what your project you're doing is all about.
So what we're going to do, we're very excited about this, we are going to construct a canopy underneath a designated tree somewhere in central Bristol, and this will take place in October, round about the half term, and the structure underneath will comprise a canopy that catches the fruit fall. So as each piece of fruit falls from the tree, a musical note will sound, and all these sounds will be captured and recorded and given to a local composer who's then going to orchestrate them into a piece of music, a unique piece of music that is literally a translation of the tree's fruit fall and indeed its song. And that will then be performed, and the concert itself will be recorded, and people can come and listen to the song of the tree.
So when can we expect this to all come together, and what kind of time frame are we looking at?
Well, where we're at the moment is obviously we've just had confirmation of the grant just before Christmas, and we're meeting this week to fine-tune the project plan. We have, obviously, October is the time when trees tend to shed their fruit and their leaves, and we'll capture the data then, the sounds that we will be using, and they will then be given to the composer straight away, who will begin work through November, possibly December or January of the following year. We're not sure at this stage, but we're going to aim to bring it to people's ears as soon as possible.
It's a bit of a wacky idea. Where did the inspiration come from for it?
Well, I know it's a wacky idea, and I actually saw a short video of a similar project that was staged in Berlin in 2012, and it was really to highlight conservation of trees in the city of Berlin. And that inspired me. When the agenda for the Green Capital came out, I thought, well, yeah, this is exactly the same thing. Bristol is, obviously, it's a very green city already. It has a wealth of urban nature that a lot of us go around our business all the time, and we see the trees or we don't. And what we wanted was to come up with something that would make people stop, not just notice, but look and then see and hear their trees, their nature that's in their city. So I think the project that ran in Berlin is exactly transferable to Bristol, and what better opportunity than being European Green Capital.
What sort of reaction do you get from people when you tell them about the idea and the project?
Initially there was what exactly is that what the Bristol Ensemble is all about? We're obviously an orchestra. We've been going for nearly 22 years in Bristol. We're Bristol's professional orchestra, and most of what we do are classical concerts, from quartet size up to full symphony, and we do a lot of family concerts, so we're helping children and families to experience and appreciate and learn about music. So this is a departure for us, but we're also all about new music and working with local composers, young artists who are emerging into their professional career. And this fitted all those criteria as well. And I was so enthusiastic. I still am enthusiastic about this project. I think it's going to attract a lot of attention because nothing like this has ever been done before in the UK.
So in terms of money, how much were you granted and how will that money be used towards the project?
Okay, we've been given a grant of £37,500 towards the cost of the project. The main costs are going to be in the technology of the recording equipment, which will be cleverly hidden underneath this canopy. If you can imagine a structure underneath the tree that is covered in fabric, but it's also going to be shaped in different gullies and drops and heights, so that when the fruit falls, it will travel and it will land in different places and collect in the gullies. Creating that structure and creating the technology underneath it obviously is going to be a big cost. Looking after the site, security, health and safety, all those things are important. And then the cost of the composer and the musicians to take the soundtrack of the tree and make it into a piece of music.
Some of the more cynical amongst us might say, is this really the best use of money for the Bristol Green Capital 2015? Is this really what the money should be spent on? There were lots of other projects that didn't get the funding. Is this the best way the money could be spent? What would you say to that?
I would say that the agenda for Bristol 2015 has to be representative of the wealth and breadth of the talent and knowledge of the city. And that includes the arts, the sciences, all the different aspects of life. So I don't have a problem with the range of projects that the fund is going to cover. I think Tree Song is going to bring something unique to the whole portfolio of projects, and it's another way for people to engage. People are going to have direct access to this. They are going to connect with nature in a way they never have before. They will actually be able to walk underneath the tree and experience it and hear it in a new way. And I think it's going to be very memorable. So that's what I would say to cynics, is nobody will ever have seen anything like this in the city or indeed the country, and they will never forget it.
In what ways will people be able to access the project and judge for themselves whether it is worth it or not?
Well, during the installation period, the site is going to be open through the day and into the early evening for public access. And people can visit the tree, they can walk underneath the boughs, they can sit around the perimeter of the installation site, they can sit and listen, they can watch, they can hear and see what's going on and how the tree is talking. And there will also be, we want to produce some materials to circulate amongst the schools and try and encourage schools to bring groups of children to come and visit and think about trees and think about the cycle of life, the cycle of nature. Obviously October and the fruit fall and leaf fall period is the end of one cycle before the beginning of the new cycle. So there's lots to engage with and lots to learn, and also to discover trees and nature in a new way.
Okay, so what would you like to say to someone who might be a bit more cynical about the project and be sat there thinking, what is this idea all about?
Come and see it. Come and see it. Come and see for yourself. I know it's a difficult thing for some people to envisage or imagine, but we have a clear vision in our heads of how it's going to be and how it's going to look, how it will feel. I mean, this is a very sensory experience for people. It's also incredibly accessible to people with any mobility issues or sensory impairments. Everyone can participate in this, and you have to come and see it to experience it.
So once the piece of music is composed and recorded, how will people be able to hear it?
There will be at least one performance. either in St George's, Bristol, or the Colston Hall, or some other venue. We haven't got that far yet with our planning. And we will also record it, so it will be available as a download or a CD purchase. We want to get it out to as many people as possible. We want it to be out there for people to remember.
Why do you think you were given the funding? What kind of criteria do you think you fulfilled?
I think because it's a unique way for people to engage with nature, and it's an extraordinary, ambitious thing to mount, and it's a bit of a crazy idea, but having secured the funding for it, and with the wealth of talent and experience and knowledge and skill that exists in Bristol to make it a reality, I can see I know it's a bit quirky, but it's fun, and because it's accessible, I don't think there's anybody in Bristol that won't be able to come and experience it if they want to.
And finally, of course, where is the tree? Which tree is going to feature in the song?
Well, the search is on. When we were preparing the bid, we looked at several trees. We had to think about several trees. At the moment, our preferred candidate tree is a chestnut. We've all grown up with conkers, and conker falling time is a wonderful experience. That's, we all have childhood memories. And so a conker chestnut tree is one option. Also, there are a plethora of oak trees in and around central Bristol, but we're not excluding fruit trees. So the apples, the pears, there are various sites. We're looking at what's important for us is that we have a location that people can get to. We want it to be visible, we want it to be reachable. So it's an exciting time. We're talking with the council staff who are responsible for keeping the public trees, and as soon as we know, you'll know.
Audrey, thank you very much for joining me. Well, that's all from the hot seat for now on Made in Bristol TV. On tomorrow's programme, you can see more from Andrew Garrad's interview, and I'll be speaking to another organisation that's been awarded a strategic grant, the Bristol Fish Project. But for now, that's all. Thank you to both my guests for being in the hot seat, and thank you for watching at home. Bye-bye.